If you think a food shortage disrupting your Easter weekend is just another far-off concern, you might want to think again. It's not some theoretical future issue. It's happening now, and it's a direct result of government policies that show just how out of touch our politicians are with the realities of everyday life. As if the cost of living crisis weren't bad enough, farmers are now forced into a corner where they are prepared to stop supplying a key ingredient for staple food items like hot cross buns, bread, and cakes. And why? Because of a government-backed tax change, the so-called tractor tax, that could be the final blow to an already struggling agricultural sector. The fact that Chancellor Rachel Reeves, an alleged representative of working families, is pushing forward with inheritance tax changes that threaten to destroy family farms is not just disappointing, it's unforgivable. It's a slap in the face to the very people who are responsible for feeding this country. Farmers are not simply protesting a small inconvenience. They are standing up for their livelihoods, their families, and the future of an industry that's integral to national security. When they say they will stop transporting milling wheat from April 1st, the consequences will be felt across the UK, from the bakery aisle in your local supermarket to the tables of families celebrating Easter. The issue here is not just a disagreement over tax policy, it's about the fundamental sustainability of the UK's food supply. Milling wheat is not just another commodity. It is the backbone of countless food products that millions of Brits rely on every single day. From the morning loaf to those Easter hot cross buns that are synonymous with the holiday, milling wheat is essential. Yet, due to political posturing and tax changes that threaten to crush the family-run farms producing this vital crop, the very bread and butter of British cuisine could soon be in short supply. Let's be clear, the government's refusal to listen to the legitimate grievances of our farmers isn't just a policy failure, it's a moral failure. This is not just about a protest. It's about an existential threat to the very fabric of the rural economy. The government has effectively ignored the warning signs. Tractors blocking roads, farmers marching in protest, and now the very real prospect of key supplies being withheld from the market. When you have over 14 million tons of milling wheat produced domestically every year, and 85% of that wheat is used in bread production, it's simply reckless to gamble with the future of such a critical resource. For a government that constantly claims to have the interests of the people at heart, the current stance on these proposed tax changes is entirely indefensible. Let's not sugarcoat it. These tax policies will directly harm the farmers who are already grappling with rising costs, unpredictable weather, and supply chain disruptions. Instead of supporting them, the government's actions signal a shift towards squeezing out family businesses in favor of an ever-expanding corporate landscape that cares little for local economies or community welfare. The reality of this strike is simple. Farmers will keep their milling wheat on their farms until the government takes them seriously. This means that the bread you buy, the cakes your kids will eat, and the hot cross buns you're planning to enjoy this Easter could be in short supply. If you've ever had the misfortune of sitting in a long queue at the supermarket, you know how frustrating it is to see empty shelves. Now imagine that frustration multiplied across the nation as entire supply chains are disrupted, and all because politicians in Westminster decided that it was easier to cater to corporate interests than to the people who grow our food. But don't just sit idly by and watch this happen. If the shelves go bare, if rationing becomes a reality, it won't be because of the farmers. They are doing everything they can to continue feeding the nation, despite the government's interference. It will be because politicians failed to listen, failed to act, and failed to protect the farmers who are the lifeblood of our food industry. This is where you, the consumer, must step in. If you want to see change, start demanding it. Contact your local MP, make your voice heard, and stand up for the farmers who are being pushed to the brink. If we don't fight for them, we will all suffer the consequences. The government can no longer hide behind the tired excuses that we're doing our best or we're making progress. The people who are supposed to be leading this country have forgotten the first rule of governance. The people come first. When it's easier for politicians to roll over and accommodate corporate interests than it is to defend hard-working, family-run businesses, we've reached a point of systemic failure. The crisis in our agricultural sector isn't something that can be ignored for much longer. If the government doesn't act now, if they don't listen to the farmers and the public, then the supply chains that feed the nation could be irreparably damaged, leaving everyone to pay the price. As this Easter approaches, let's hope the government wakes up before it's too late. But don't hold your breath. History has shown that it's far easier for politicians to shift blame than to take responsibility for the damage they've caused. If we end up with empty shelves and higher prices, the politicians in Westminster won't be the ones suffering. It will be the families who are already struggling, and the farmers who are being forced into a corner. Don't let them get away with it. The time to act is now.